soon as our broadcast starts.
So my tree went over big.
Yeah, it did. It's still there, so you can show it again tonight, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's almost got almost 400 hits now. Likes. Like, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. All right, give me a sec here.
The only problem with this weather is nothing will dry. I'm working on stuff and it's been drying for hours and it just won't dry.
You got a fan running in there?
Yeah, but the problem is it's just bringing the humidity in from the outside.
Oh, okay.
So it's just nothing. Everything's staying tacky.
Right.
Yeah, Sean's very excited. He's making his first piece of terrain.
Oh, very cool. What's he making?
A tree. I let him sculpt a tree. So we were working on it together. So it's a big tall tree with. He did the bottom, putting all the clay on, and he wanted all the broken branches on it and stuff. So next weekend is about painting.
I was going to say, if you leave it the way that it is, it would be the Markham household
big black
family
tree.
Yeah, broken bones and burnt looking at the bottom.
The Markham hangman tree?
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
So who are all the members of the Markhams then?
So I haven't taken it past Swain. I never really did his lineage, but you had Swain, and then obviously Lorana, and then you have their 4 kids.
Right, but you never went any further. You guys have a brother or sister, a cousin.
No.
Hey.
Kids.
It's a good discussion. Keep it up, man. Absolutely. Okay, well we're on. It's been a rough weekend, man. How's everyone doing? Good. I know we're talking about the Swain Markham family there, and hey, Then's on already. Hey, Then.
Hey,
glad you can make it. So things are going well. It's been a busy weekend. We're just decided to do this Free City of Greyhawk instead of the Generations one a little while ago because it just flowed right into the Harby one, and it just made sense. And then I gave you guys all these notes, man. I could write for days on this. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah.
My God. Oh, I got to close this door. I can't believe how much stuff we've done in Greyhawk City. It's crazy how much fun things we've done over the years so far.
Yeah.
Playing in this city. It's been a boatload of fun, and I've had a blast. Got the notes done, and I was just gonna say, we'll start with like we did with Harby, and don't use the one I'm thinking of. Something made me do it. But Mark, what's your favorite Greyhawk story that you remember from an adventure?
Oh wow. A favorite.
Or just a good tidbit story. Something that happened.
Well, depends. Depends if you want to consider my world or your world.
You can do yours. You can do yours with Alan.
Sure.
Or Michael Baton, or Michael Baton, the real life Michael Baton. I don't know if you can tell that story.
Well, that's where I was headed. So, so the real life Michael Baton, in typical fashion, he had a character that basically was just looking to get laid. And I remember the character's name's named Carta. and I believe he was I want to say he was triple classed. I think he was a cleric mage thief. And he ended up going to Old Mother Grubbs and effectively decided to take one of the ladies that works there to a private room, and figuring that he was going to get, at least a little fluffed, if anything else.
Yes.
And turns out, obviously, that she was a vampire. And then from there, ended up getting drained so much that he got turned into part of the street sweepers guild.
Oh, so they made him into a zombie?
Yeah, they made him into a zombie.
That's awesome.
So somewhere, I'll have to see if I can find it, but in one of my actual folders, I have a like old character sheets from that world, and I still have that character sheet.
Oh, that's awesome that you have that, though, man. That's just great. I mean, I remember that, and didn't one of the it was Drain Beyond, man. The real Michael Baton used to just make characters up, and that was all that's all they cared about. So it was never anything beyond that. So
same way every time.
Absolutely, and you played right into them. You can see I got a lot of picks up tonight, man, and I found some old picks on my iPad. No, it wasn't on my iPad. It was on my old PC. You'll see them, and I'll point to them when they come up. And one of the best ones ever. I found the whole series and they're badly taken because they're over at the Stratford House. But you'll see when they circulate, you'll want to look at those. So, but I got some new and old stuff going up, and that I compiled on what we've done in Greyhawk, and Greyhawk's been just been I can't. Like I said, I'm shocked at how much content there is. What about you, Bill? Besides the one the made me do it one. What do you think?
My favorite thing that we ever did, probably within Greyhawk City, actually goes back a long time now. It was the Thieves Guild War.
Yep, and I have that down under the adventures, I believe. If you look at this adventures list, it starts at number 349. There was no honor, and then it ends at number 439. Grey Company led by their noses, believe it or not. And I think that was the last one where they tried to set you up and blame you for everything.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah, and
but it was such a you put together a very good. I mean, it ran for a long time. The running battles with Thomas Raddick and it was a lot of fun. Which it's funny. I mean, our premier group. Just looking at the notes you gave us, the first real Greyhawk adventure we did wasn't even with them. It was the Grey Company.
The Murder Maury Miller?
Yep.
I thought the Murder Maury Miller was the relative of Toothless one with the pitchfork, Tom McCoy.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought that was a mixed group that I actually had.
Waltz
I
on.
actually had Galena on it. With my Ranger Madge, who never really leveled after that, Farron Blackley.
Did I do it a second time?
Maybe you did. I don't remember. I don't think
I'll have to look through that, and maybe I missed it, but I'm almost positive he had Tom McCoy on that one, and it was a relative. He was a relative of Maury Miller. That's what that was the first one I could find down.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going back 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And and I looked through the list. I just saw in that 614 game time, it appeared as when we started really running Greyhawk stuff. I can't correlate real life days and years to when we played, and I didn't write down adventuring groups attached to the adventure names back then. I did that at probably at like the 600s or 500s or something like that. So unfortunately to do that, but yeah. So, well, they're both good stories. I mean, I look back and I actually liked the Noble Pawn Disappearances. It was a little adventure where there's always been these people on that street, on River Street. You ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
They were in
that. River Quarter in general.
Yeah.
So, there's these people always everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like. Absolutely. I can't wait till they end up taking on the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Yeah. So, but that was a good one, and a couple of these other ones. I looked through this and I was like, I know we did it one after another. I have no memory of the Falcon Master series at all. I don't remember it, and we did it after Return of the Eight, which
that was higher level. We didn't use the Iron Brigade or anybody of those. It was ad hoc nights.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The memory is so fuzzy on that one. So, but
yeah, that was at the first house.
Was it? Because okay, all right.
I think we started it. Yeah, at the first house.
Okay.
The Lindenwald house.
Well, it's
I think we finished it up at
Return of the Eight's 330. Return of the Eight's 337. No, you know how I know it's not? Because I know the Lord's Tomb was in Stratford, because that was the one that was I did after I made it after a Buffy episode where the vampire could put the ring on outside and be out in the sun, and I know that was in Stratford. So that was
Stratford, definitely.
Yeah, that was 358.
But yeah, Return of the Eight, we were still working on it at the Lindenwald
that's
house.
337, and yeah, absolutely. So but that was a fantastic one too. I imagine we'll be talking about that real quick. So if you look through Greyhawk, you got, and did anyone see my chat with Leonard Lakofka online today, going back and forth?
Yeah, I actually look at it.
I didn't see it. I was looking for it, but
he was funny, and he doesn't even realize it. But I said to him I was going to share it, but anything that Gary Gygax didn't write, he goes piss on From the Ashes. Piss on the Greyhawk Wars. Gary Gygax had nothing to do with writing it, so I just pretend it didn't happen, which is good. I mean, and I said, well, I don't know. I know he's moving soon. I offered for him to come on here anytime. But I know he's 72. Hey, it's cool, But you got, these are the two books, and they're scrolling up top too. But these are the two books from the original Greyhawk supplement that we all love so much, and the detail in these books is fantastic. The maps are great. It is such a Stratford and London. Well, okay, that's funny. Well, there's certain areas of London you don't go in, just like there's certain areas of Philly and Camden you don't go in, right? So that's a shame. Though.
The best part about these books is that they actually introduce a new whole set and backgrounds of NPCs.
Absolutely.
You can just interact with a lot.
Oh, that and it's really, really, and they do staged ones too if you want to use them in here too.
Yep.
The detail on these are so fantastic. It does say it's second edition on the bottom. It must have been just when second edition came out. I thought these were actually first.
It was actually adapted for second edition. You could use it. It came out, I think, about the same time that the actual Greyhawk Adventures book came out, which was like right on the cusp. So you could use it for first or second.
I'm looking to see if there's a copyright deal. 89 it says on these. It says 89.
Yeah.
So Art Arcana was out in 83. And someone take a look and see the Greyhawk hardback book. What year that came out. Mark's looking that up now. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm out in the shop. I don't have it.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, Fen, don't forget, resubscribe. You get another point toward that giveaway on the 20th. Just remember that.
All 88.
Right? So, yeah, it was right before it. Yeah, that's what. And that had more general details in it. So,
yep.
I'm just going to type that in, too. Giveaway is the 20th. So,
I'm going to say
yep.
13 earlier.
But
85.
Was what?
85 was under Arcana.
Oh, okay. It was 85. I thought it was 8. I always thought it was 83. Yeah. I don't know why.
85.
Yeah, I was definitely in middle school, so.
So when From the Ashes came out, here's another thing. Look at these. These I use a ton of, and look at this. It's all together. Look at this.
Yep.
Want to see these? Oh, this is my From the Ashes books. I got another set, but I mean, this is like they're taking a beating. Now, and Leonard Lakofka said this too. We did not, when From the Ashes came out, we were happy about it. It had a lot of cool stuff in the wars and all, but we didn't take everything that went into those books. I noted down, Valderessa didn't die in ours, Grimly Fisher didn't die in ours, the Scarlet Brotherhood didn't take over, the frickin' Hold of the Sea Princes. The Eos thing didn't go exactly where they said it was close, but not exactly. We had some other different lines up. There was a lot of stuff that we didn't really want to. It just didn't fit in our campaign at the time. We had played for so many years, and these are guides, and these are like Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. Oh, you did. You did. I'm sorry. Yeah, you did. You did the other night. My apologies on that, man. Yeah. So that gives you another point toward that giveaway, and you're eligible for the follow one too. So. We had, we didn't do everything in there. Now they enhanced a lot of characters. They upped the levels on some of them. They did do some good things in here. They had some really great detail on Greyhawk, what happened in the city, and and I was saying the one thing we didn't have, the Old Mother Grub thing, we definitely didn't do in here. We left it here until that adventure, and
Right.
then we destroyed it in that adventure, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they really went over.
It's kind of interesting too, because when you're looking at all the stuff that they came out with, you can almost feel like what the tension was at TSR at that point. Because all the churn of Gary being basically pushed out, and I don't remember what her name was that ended up taking it over, and then and so forth. But it was like they had just come out with the Greyhawk Adventures, the City of Greyhawk. And like within a couple years, it was like they blew the whole thing up with the From the Ashes
You
set
like that,
and
that picture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was just incredible that you set up for the first time in a long time. You gave us something that was like so worthwhile, and you wanted to explore and use and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you just said, you know what? Forget it. We're just going to blow the whole thing up, and that was it.
Well, that was at the period where Forgotten Realms was starting to come into its own. And they, that was new school people, and they just wanted the old school stuff to be forgotten.
Yeah. Fanny, that's a good question. I think TSR really they had to bring out stuff just to bring out stuff to survive, because once they had second edition books out, no one, and everyone had books. There's no reason to buy books anymore. So I think
there's a really good article. It was, I can't remember the URL, but there was a really good article about how they, what actually had happened. And basically, Gary had partnered with somebody, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but the basic gist was Gary partnered with somebody. He was more of the figurehead than anything else, based on what it is that I've read.
Right.
And his partner ended up selling out his shares to his sons, and his sons squandered the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there was somebody that came in, and I don't remember, like I said, who it was. She came in and ended up taking over for them, and Gary was fighting with her, and she basically tanked the whole thing. And that's literally when, like, the second edition stuff started coming out, and the From the Ashes set, was coming out and so forth. And then basically at that point, there was somebody that had left TSR, I believe, that had started up Wizards of the Coast. Or actually, I take that back. Actually started Magic, the game Magic.
Right.
Which was then subsequently bought by Wizards of the Coast, and then Wizards of the Coast ended up buying TSR. Mm-hmm. It was a real shame, though. I mean, as you read this, you could just feel for Gary that, he just never really, it was like his baby, but he never really got to hold his own baby, so to speak.
It's almost like Henry Ford when they fired him. Although,
yeah.
Kind of similar, but not, But TSR made some great stuff in the old days, like the Divine Right board game. That's a TSR.
Oh, yeah.
And that I love that game. I could, play that anytime. That was done very well. But for us, those are the two main references. But what's really cool is the Expedition of the Ruins of Greyhawk. I should have gotten that book, but it is scrolling up top. As far as another reference to continue, and this I've been told this is a 3.5 doing. I don't even pay attention. I just convert it to whatever we need. Which we did in adventures like 804, 806, 7, 12, and 16. That added a whole bunch of new detail to the city, including mostly the river quarter. So I incorporated a lot of that stuff in, and that's why you see that map has different colors and different numbers all over the place that we used the other week, Yep. So there's good detail in that. Now it's jumbled, it's all over. Hey, there's a picture from the expedition right there of you getting captured. There's a lot of different things. A lot of different supplements that are pretty cool. I'm just saying to Then, that's too bad. Yeah, it really is a shame what happened there. That's what we do. I use that now, and I'm trying to think of what else. If there's any other, there's some minor stuff and some other things. Really, I don't use anything in Greyhawk City in that Greyhawk hardback book. It's mostly that's for magic items and spells and
Yeah.
things like that. So,
There's a lot of really good stuff too that came out with the Greyhawk Adventures book itself. I think they outdid themselves with that one.
I love it. I love that book. I mean, it's got the spells in it. And like I said, we had that Greyhawk Mage, and we really need to use more of that. And we need to use more of those spells and pushing toward getting a lot of variety out there spell wise. But I put together some things, and if anyone online doesn't know, like Greyhawk was founded by Zagig himself. Zagig Gagarini, and they never really explained. I guess there's some detail on, but the ruins or Castle Greyhawk over there, that was like his laboratory, and he did all his experiments there. But he founded the city. I guess it was like, I don't know how many years before. It was like 200 years before regular time, somewhere around that.
Like 5, 4 something or 3 something.
Yeah, I think it was 340 or maybe like 340 or 330. But it was like 170, 200 years before. And so, and then the city just grew, and it was always a free city. It was never really overtaken by any of the other, governments. There's really not that many nearby. You think about the Wild Coast runs up and down there. It's really not much. But so, and then these books here, they detail all the different quarters. There's the High Quarter, the Garden Quarter, Foreign Quarter, Artisan Quarter, Clerksburg, River Quarter, the Old City, and the Slum Quarter. So, I mean, there's 8 different quarters of the city that are all detailed in this book, and it really goes over a lot of different things. And then they sub it out with guilds, with like who runs a thieves guild in each area, or at that time. A lot of the guild masters, a lot of the College of Magic people, like Jawal and Kondratus Bubka, and it's really all the priests. Actually, most of the priests are brought. Some of them are in the original, but a lot of them are in From the Ashes. Actually, they develop more priests, but there's a fair amount of priests in there. So it's very well done, and Brian's on too. So hi, Brian. Thanks, man. But there's a lot of really, there's a From the Ashes again, detail that is brought in, and we just use it to have relationships with the characters. I went through, I got this list of all these adventures we've done. It's insane, the level of adventures, but like I made this one up. Land clearing for Lady Petrovsky. She's in one of the estates. If you look on the map, there's a state, like in this map, you see all those little squares, guys, in the middle bottom? Those are estates all over the place. So there's actually a lot of adventuring you can do outside of the city as well. So, and so Lady Katrine Petrovsky, the Iron Brigade did a lot of adventures for her early on.
Where our giant eagles are.
What's that?
Where our giant eagles are.
Yeah, absolutely. That is true. That is true. That's where they're placed at, definitely. Working for the Arrows, so they did a job for Corellan's Arrows early on. Got that relationship going. Estrella's Rescue. I mean, she's in there, and she's in this opera house, and there's rivalries between the two opera houses, and she's actually not.
She's been there a long time.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, she's actually a Greyhawk dragon, and they found a picture of her from 100 years ago with another name, but she was the same person. It looked exactly the same. Like, what the hell's going on here? And really, they did all this to rescue her, but she probably didn't need it. But there was the drama that she likes drama. So, I mean, that was kind of a cool thing. Greyhawk dragons are kind of unique to the world of Greyhawk too. How they live amongst humans, and they they really are intertwined into the
I mean, there's no Greyhawk dragons in the Forgotten Realms.
I saw online that Brian.
They're too weak for the Forgotten Realms.
Oh my God! Brian Blumklotz was pushing up that Dragon Heist thing, and there's a picture in there, and there's Mordenkainen in there. Like, what the frick is Mordenkainen doing in that in Waterdeep? I mean, come on. I was like, that's just ridiculous, But this is what we're dealing with, in these new day and times,
And it's still funny. So you have like all the Forgotten Realms stuff, but yet you still have the same spell lists. You have all the Greyhawk mages that their spells actually made it over to Forgotten Realms and elsewhere.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand it, why it's that way.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so much. I think I don't want to say it's laziness. I don't, because you know, I don't want to be. Everyone always says I'm negative at work, so with D&D. But my God, you can't create your own stuff. You know. Now we use some stuff from like Agonizing Scorcher. That's a Forgotten Realms spell. I use it because it's a good spell. You know. I don't use it.
Well, it's also in Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah. No, it's not. No,
that's right. We took that from.
We took that from a fire mage spell list at first. Yeah.
Yep.
So you know.
Actually, I think the original was in one of the Baldur's Gates or
Icewind Dale.
Icewind Dale.
It was Icewind Dale. It was Icewind Dale. And Icewind Dale was a great box set for PC because you can play the whole party in it. You know.
Right.
But there's a lot of spells that we've taken from a lot of different references, and hey, so what, you know? But like, come on, when you're doing a whole world and you're doing, it's, I just think it's, I just would rather see, them do their own content instead of mushing stuff together. I know that pisses off a lot of people on the sites too, because they're like, oh, the more they steal from Greyhawk, the less that there's ever a chance of Greyhawk coming back. And I always say to them, on the sites, I say, what do you need Greyhawk back for? There's so much content out there you can develop. You know what I mean? You don't need new stuff. Everyone thinks you need new stuff. I just don't. Maybe I'm just so old school with that.
Yeah, but we're older. We have access to a lot of that older content where new players don't.
Right.
Well, Drive-Thru RPG has all of it on there. All of it.
Yeah.
I know people like to have the books.
It's the expense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if you really think about it too, I mean, we grew up in a concept where you use your imagination an awful lot.
Yeah.
And now it's more about the quick fix. It's about I have something. Why do I need to go do it myself when I can just go grab it and incorporate it? I mean, you see that in a lot of walks of life, not just.
Yeah, I would wish something better would happen. I really do, but that's once again, that's me. So, like I said, I got a ton of notes on here. We did, I talked about the Lord's Tomb. I got inspired watching a Buffy and Angel back then, and, a ring that's a vampire can wear it, and then they can go out in the daylight. That's a cool idea. So, that was before Salen slipped there. Earth Dragon Cult and Greyhawk, that was $391. 511, Bad Portents for Salen, and I remember that adventure because they kept on telling him he was destined for greatness. So
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So here's the story, and it's they're about to come up. I'm trying to time it with the pictures. So a long time ago in a low-level adventure. It's kind of like finding the One Rings. Salem found a crown in like a little side water pool underground. Found out it's the crown of this guy Ruggiero Bloodmoon, who was like one of these worshippers, kind of like a Tulsa Doom type. And so the group hid it, kept on hiding it from Salem. They also wanted to get it, and then. Everyone's trying to. The bad guy's always trying to direct them for years that you're gonna take over everything. You're gonna be the super powerful thing. And so, after 15 years of prepping that, I had that happen, and that was a fun one. And that was in the old house. And I know some pics are gonna pop up shortly. And I found one that's so exciting, especially for Bill. He's gonna love it. It should be.
I can't see the pictures.
Oh, that's a shame, man. But it's coming up shortly, and so he cloned an evil Swain. He had pieces of Swain. He cloned three different Milanas, one of Alan's characters, because he had taken pieces from her every time she died or she got a limb cut off. So he cloned, and there were 3 different levels. There it is. All right, here's the picture of. It's a picture of Gilthanas, who got pushed off the tower
Yes.
with Elijah
Greatest
Winchester,
moments ever.
the Elijah Winchester the third, Elijah Winchester fourth, Jake Winchester, and an unpainted Alicia Markham. And there's the group going toward the final ziggurat of Ruggiero Blood Moon, the Iron Brigade. Every character there. So hey, we're being raided by Winged. Hey man, what's up, Josh? How you doing, man? So they must have just finished up. Yeah, so it's Winged Horizon. He's that's Josh Sterrett. He plays in one of DM Shane's games. So thank you, man. Yeah, feel free to watch and hang out a little bit here. We're talking about Greyhawk City. And then there's the final fight on the top. And look at all those dead followers all around.
Yep.
You
All Diamond Lake got cleaned out.
Yeah. Yes, and so yeah, you are Josh. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate the raid, man. It's an honor. I appreciate it. Like I said, stick around. We're going to talk about Greyhawk City and some things going back and some history and some cool ideas. Yeah, so that adventure was epic. I mean, literally, I spent 20 years planning that adventure out. And that
has to go down as one of my actions.
Who else? He had a Swain cloned, 3 Milanas cloned. I thought there was one other character.
Railstone.
Railstone. That's right. He had a piece of Railstone. He cloned him.
Railstone's hand. Railstone Railstone was climbing somewhere. We were climbing up a hill or the side of a mountain, and he got critically hit by something on the way up, and his hand was severed, and it fell, and Salem grabbed it.
Yes.
Kept it.
True. Yep. So he kept all these pieces, and then so when he put this crown on, that the Night Watch and Greyhawk were high for all this time, but they got it from Alphonse. Finally they put the crown on him, and he became this this megalomaniac godlike thing, creature being. And he went and got his followers. It was an epic battle. But the cool thing was you first had to go to Old Mother Grubb's, and you had to take on Old Mother Grubb and the whole shebang of clans and all the half vampires in there, and finally that place got torched down and burned down to the ground on that adventure, because there was I think it was Sharon Carell, I think her name was like an intermediary for this cult that was following, Ruggiero Bloodmoon / Salem, and that's where they were stationed out of in Greyhawk. And you went in and you had a blast with that. So that was a great one too, man.
That was the adventure that got Alhana so turned on for Salem. Just, because she was enthralled with his power that he had, and then on top of the fact that he cast Flesh Shiver on her, and she was just like just lost it for him at that point.
Yeah, that was.
Imagine those two breeding.
Oh well, you never know. So here's a cool thing.
What makes you think that they haven't?
No.
She held me down. I didn't want to do it.
Absolutely.
Greyhawk is so great because we have day-to-day interaction of characters in the city affairs. So Salem, who's back to normal now after he got purged and all, and now he's back to his cowardly Clark Necromancer self. He is the deputy or guildmaster of the Gravedigger and Embalmer's Guild behind Selzik Gubayik, who's a half-orc, whatever, necromancer, whatever.
Almost dead.
Yeah. What's that?
And he's getting very old.
Yeah, he's getting very old. So he's just waiting. So he's a deputy guildmaster, and he loves Selzik loves.
Like up your uncle.
Selzik loves cheesecakes. So that's how you get to his Selzik's heart, is cheesecakes. But he's very gruff and blunt. Now Walt, I think Walt was heading home from his job. He was working late. I know he hopped on. Walt has Alphonse D'Amato. Alphonse is a cleric, a bounty hunter cleric, multi-class. He's the second in charge of the Night Watch. And if you know anything about the Night Watch are actually an independent organization. They're hired by a lot of the, consider them, if you know anything about San Francisco, there's specials that you can actually hire extra guards or, security or, higher ups, but they do patrol. They work with the Lamplighters Guild. If anyone watched Thursday night, 2 Thursdays ago, Alphonse showed up after that fight, and because he had his Lamplighters in the area at the time. So Walt's character, who's part of the Iron Brigade, both of them are second in commands of their guilds. And then John, who hasn't played in a bit, that's Tim's dad, and John is like one reason why a lot of us here are D&D players. That whole group. John has Pete and John, and Pete is an archer, and John is a necromancer / specialty priest of Bakub, I think, something goofy like that.
Bakub, yeah.
Yeah, and they have Pete and John's Teamsters service, which has grown into this organization of, if you want something hauled from one town or one city to another, they are the guys. So they're in every city that we have.
They were like the predecessor to Two Men in a Truck.
Yes, absolutely. But if an expedition to the ruins of Greyhawk, and this was perfect timing, they introduced a company called Abel Carter Coaching Company. And Abel Carter Coaching Company has a couple EAS people inside of it in Greyhawk, and they've infiltrated it, and they're using that for nefarious means. So Abel Carter Coaching Company, Pete and John's Teamster Services are kind of like two rival organizations going at it. So it worked perfectly in our game, which was cool. We could actually...
UPS and DHL.
Yeah, exactly. It linked in very, very, very nicely. So, and there they are working to the hill again. So, yeah, I love that adventure. I mean, that was so awesome. That's a terrible picture, but I couldn't not. I only had 4 of them, and it just from that one. That's so many years ago. So I'm scrolling down on the left here. All the adventuring groups that's a miscellaneous Greyhawk group. You see Mordenkainen, you see Jalarzi, Nastasia Ariane Nightstar, Tira is in that. So that picture down there has a lot of Greyhawk personalities we actually have figures for. We also have a Mariel figure, and I'm not sure why she's not in that pic, but the rest of them are full of our adventuring groups that we have in Greyhawk. Now, mind you, anyone, especially Josh, if you and your people are on still, we've been playing 38 years. So, I'm 51. I've been playing since I was 13. So we got a lot of adventuring groups, and there's a list scrolling up top, but there's a listing of the mercenary groups in Greyhawk, and we have them ranked by notoriety. Oops, let me go this way so you don't get this. All right, so you'll see this on that scroll up on top. So a lot of these are the PC groups: the Iron Brigade, the Legion, Vengeful Justice, the Great Company, Gnarlyman, Iron Fury, and then Marks from Ohio, which is going to start streaming shortly, Slap, the Stupendously Lucky Adventuring Party. They're all player character groups in Greyhawk, so we've really interacted with a lot of the canon in the books, so that there's like rivalry going on, there's cooperation. So Bill, tell about your interaction with Marcus.
Well, Marcus has had a relationship with a member of Corellan's Arrows.
Right.
So he was one of the few people that was allowed into the Star of Selene Tavern that was human.
Exactly, and he's a human, and her name was Shayla, and so, so he was actually at the Star of Selene. I think it's in the Garden Quarter. I don't think it's in the High Quarter. I think it's in the Garden Quarter.
Yeah, it's in the Garden Quarter.
So everyone always wants to get into the Star of Selene. That's a great story, by the way, Bill. Good call on that one. But you can't, because they just don't let anyone in. I mean, it's
You're
very
not
snub.
enough. You don't get in.
Yeah, you just don't get in. But Marcus is one of the few humans who could get in, because he was actually involved with one of Corellan's arrows. And there's only 6 of those. So but unfortunately he couldn't get over. They all have tattoos on their foreheads, right? And he could not get past that. So
yeah, she's chaotic good, and that just didn't.
Yes,
she's too impulsive for him.
Absolutely. So now Marcus is with one of my NPCs and one of the Winchesters, and we'll see where that goes as far as who gets to name the kid. It's an unnamed child. We'll see. So
Kieran
Winchester.
Reading out the Winchester.
So Fenn's going to get upset if you say that.
What, read out the Winchester?
Yeah, he's a huge Winchester supporter. So
yep. He's also a big Michael Baton supporter too.
Absolutely.
So you might end up with a Winchester Baton crossover.
Yes. So
vomit. That's all right.
Or who
There's
knows?
some
You may
Winchesters
end up
out
with
there.
you could end up with a threesome with what's his name, Gilthinus in the mix.
Oh,
No.
God. Don't even say
Well,
that.
all you got to remember that Charles Emerson Winchester did have a sister named Onaria.
Yes, and that's true. So
Yep.
And we don't know where she was married off to.
Michael Baton is a god, and that's what Fen just said, and he's correct.
Ah.
So
Right.
next week on Generations, you'll find out that, I have the Winchester family tree, and it's huge. And if you go down to Charles Emerson...
Yeah, it's very tall and thick, but not anything.
And it's, I took it, it's David Ogden Steer's name in MASH, so there you go. That's where it comes from. But there's a nice picture of Morning Canaan, and there's a picture from the Deal or No Deal, the River Quarter we just did, up right now. And that's the last adventure number 831. It was in Greyhawk. So my goal is to get back into... Yeah, Altera, thanks, man. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, we take great pride in a lot of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The
So
mundane and the not so mundane.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we take our gaming seriously here. So, excuse me. So we're up to adventure number 831. We're going to start going off on a tangent onto the Pomoarch thing coming up, but with Greyhawk now, we're really going to delve back into it. This thing that we just did with Deal or No Deal. If any, just to do a synopsis real quick. Galena, who's like one of the highest level characters, that's Bill's character, and a character named Thenden came to him and said, "Please get this." Nice, dude. 92's, yeah, man. That's good to hear. Get way out there in time, and But by the way, that's just. I recommend any of you guys that are on, that are right followers, afterwards, just go. It's one of the 7 ones I follow. Just go to Winged Horizon site and throw him a follow. All right, just he's a good guy, and he's working to build up his thing just like we are. Just hit him a follow, just like we did with Bandit Kingdoms. You can find the link right on my following list. I only follow certain people. He's a good guy, and that'll be awesome. They finished it, and they got this rod, and it turns out this is a rod of rulership it's the King of the Beggars rod of rulership. If you go back in time and look, and there's a footnote about what happened to the beggars run the slum quarter, and they're not allowed to do organized crime. They're more like the eyes, ears, and noses of the city, and begging is a trade. And it's actually an organization, and there's actually beggars can't, kind of like there's thieves can't. Hey, Sean. There's beggars can't. So going back, Arental, and I mentioned Arental a couple times. Hey, Altair, thanks. I guarantee we'll do the follow return for Josh. I guarantee it. So the Beggars Guild is they got too greedy, and there was a big war, and so I think it was Gaspar was his. No, it was like Theobald. That's it. Thenden Theobald. Ooh. They sound kind of familiar. I don't know if that means anything, but a little foreshadowing there. Gaspar's the new one. So Theobald got taken out by the Thieves Guild. It's all in old lore. This is before Tharif Nazgul was involved, and who am I missing? Orgnention, way before them. They were lessers in the guild at that time. So you're going about 60, 70 years ago in our game time. But if you're doing a new game, like a From the Ashes right there, Wars game, you're looking at about 10, 15 years before. So, it turns out that the Thieves Guild couldn't figure out how to destroy this rod. They didn't know what to do with it. So they placed this rod, and they thought it was a secret place. And 60 years later, someone figured out how to access where it was stored, and so Galena and the Great Company, for a deed to one of the buildings on River Street, said that they would get this rod, and so now this King of the Beggars rod of rulership has been given to Thenden. The agreement was all done, and now he has it. Now we're going to see what happens. So this is kind of like a long-term planning for me. I'm trying to introduce a new thing because I know everyone likes to play the Great Company, so I'm trying to get back into doing some more stuff with them. you know,
let's face it. Everybody loved the love fest between Copus and Heather.
Oh, it was wonderful.
That was
I only vomited twice.
that was fantastic. It was absolutely hysterical.
I should have left him turned to stone.
We, you know, and that's we have fun with it. And like I said, one of our problems is, I don't know how PC we are. We can have some issues sometimes, but it's guys getting together playing. So, and we're doing this for the fun of it, and that's what makes this even more fun. What we're doing now, talking. Let's go back just a little bit. So I got a hold of that book. I got a hold of Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, and I was hesitant at first. And I'm thinking, roll for Chuck. I was thinking about, can I implement this in? And the more I read it, we never did the Ruins of Greyhawk or that stupid spoof one, Castle Greyhawk. We never did those, and because it was just a dungeon crawl, and there was no reason for going in there. And they took this book, and they made it the story was kind of linear, but there were subquests all over the place. And I was like, man, this is a pretty good job for a 3.5 publication. And it tied in, and it kind of revitalized what we were doing at Greyhawk. You know, we got back into doing some high level stuff. We got back into doing character interactions and, you know, meeting people, because Rigby had finally died, and Rigby's body came back to Greyhawk. Rigby's been hiding from Eos for years. Here's the Circle of 8 up now picture, by the way, everyone. So, and it was a long adventure, man. It was, the chapters were very long, and they finally went down. They found out that somehow Vane, that picture's right from it, by the way. This one right here up of Morning Canaan, that is actually from that's the top of Zagig's in the Tower of Magic in Greyhawk, the College of Magic. That's Zagig's room, and he's giving them a key to open up a box so they can get into the one of the 3 buildings over at the Ruins of Greyhawk.
Into the Tower of Magic.
The Tower of Magic, yes. So it was a long adventure, but it tied back in some stuff, and it turns out that Vane had created a clone, a simulacrum of Igwolf, because he's always a freaking idiot, right? And exactly, but then you got to kill him another time as a grave master,
right?
You know, in the Shieldlands, you got him to kill him another time. But Vane, and she became self-willed, and that was kind of, you thought you had done it. There was an army of Eos coming through the Underdark, and you stopped that army from coming. That army got out. I did some adventures off of that. The army started coming out in the Cairn Hills. Some little bits of it from the Underdark that survived. But it was a good. I was impressed by it. I thought, you know, it was good for us, and I was able to adapt a lot of new stuff into our Greyhawk City. So we had more spots, locations in the River Quarter. You had some more like Kellic. There's the Chessmaster, Tira, a contact in the Thieves Guild. You also had that half orc. I can't remember his name. You also had the gladiator guy who was in there, and that Igwolf was forcing to fight, you know, for her. There was a lot of cool things that tied in. What, you guys have any memories from that? Since it hasn't been that long, I think it was only about a year ago that we finished it. So
I don't know if it's been that long, but it was it was a lot of fun because it brought back some high level role play that we haven't done in a long time.
Right.
And and through the role play, we were able to do a lot of character development, which was fun.
Absolutely. It gave me a stage to play Alhana a lot with Sailing.
Yes, that's
which
true.
I really enjoyed. Also incorporated a lot of the not as well known Greyhawk adventures that have been developed, like Dungeon Land and things like that.
There was
like little excerpts into it. Yeah.
Yes, there was subplanes. There was the Isle of the Ape too. We went to the Isle of the Ape as well in that adventure to find 3 pieces to put together near the end. And what I did from it was, we wanted to do a new first level group in Greyhawk. So the Iron Brigade, which is a lot of Knights of York, a lot of lawful good people. There are some like Sailing and Alhana which aren't, but that's okay. So they created a feeder group of adventures called Iron Fury. And when their figures come up, I'll point out both Iron Brigade and Iron Fury down there. And they were low level. And what we did was I did sub adventures off of the ruins, the expedition to the ruins of Greyhawk with the lower level group for missions to find out information that they were seeking. So we kind of tied in low level characters with the high level adventure that was going on, and then we also tied in other groups. Like this is the gnarly man showing right now figures. That's our Greyhawk Kids adventure. Bill's son plays in it. My son plays in it. We don't broadcast that because they're kids. But they're in the Greyhawk as well. And the kids, we tied the images right into what was going on in the expedition to the ruins at Greyhawk. So it was like kind of like a momentous thing for a lot of different groups. And then Grey Company members actually went to the Thieves Guild part of the adventure. Here's the Iron Brigade up right now, okay? That's the Iron Brigade. That's the most powerful of the adventuring groups in all of Greyhawk. They did the Return of the Eight. They freed Tensor, so we haven't even discussed that yet. But it was cool because we linked in everything. We linked in the high levels, the low levels, the kids group. It was kind of like a whole massive thing going on in the world. And I'd love to get back to doing more of those, man. But they're tough to prepare for. This is Iron Fury up right now. That's Iron Fury. You may have seen them. They're doing the Mongols of the Putrid Tongue adventures online, a stream. They've done 2 of them so far. They're out in the Diamond Lake area, and they were what was the other one called? Bountiful Cliffs, right? Was it where the halfling was? Yeah. So
with Petronius's brother.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Petronius' cousin. It was a cousin, actually.
It was a cousin.
Yeah, it was a cousin. Yep. So another halfling, wonderful. So that's what that was. What the tie-in was there, and so give me some other groups that you find like that you have a memory or two from. I know we're just bouncing back and forth here.
Yeah. So I gotta add the fact that. And maybe you weren't ready to get into it yet, but the fact that the Order of Ulick has a soft spot in their heart for the Knights of the Holy Shield.
Yes. Well, the Order does, but not the commander in the area.
Okay, if you know the Free City of Greyhawk and you go to the very top of the map, it's right near Lord Henry. Everyone knows where Lord Henry's menagerie is, right? Very top of the map at the entrance near as you're going into Shacktown. Next to that's a building that used to be the Knights of the Holy Shielding office. Okay, so what we did was the wars came, Greyhawk Wars did come, and the Knights of the Holy Shielding were bankrupt, and most of them were dead. As a matter of fact, a lot more of them are dead now from the last adventure we did up there in the Shieldlands. They always seem to die a lot. So they couldn't afford it. So our Order of Ulick, which is our main, and you can see it's right here next to me. I got it right to my left or right, depending on your. We have that knighthood, and we've been, 200 plus members of it. So the Order of Ulick bought it off them to help them fund, whatever they needed. But they have a soft spot, and I just thought it was kind of poetic because then, you can always make fun of the Shieldlanders and Knights of Holy Shielding. They gave half the building back to them free. So the building is kind of like the Order of Ulick, but the Knights of Holy Shielding have still offices there. And Corellia, which is now an NPC, she used to be a player character of another Bill who doesn't play anymore. She runs that, and she's there. It's kind of like a cloistered specialty priest of Uko. See the red-headed girl in the third row of that picture in the back? That's Corellia. She always she hates Shieldlanders. There's a line running right through the middle of the building, and she tells them not to step across it. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of comical. But yeah, that's thing. So yeah, we have the Knights of Ulick actually have that building. And if we talk about it, that's a good segue into, you look at a lot of the Iron Brigade people have their own house. There's the Lawful Goods in the Iron Brigade have a 3-story structure outside of the High Market. Salen's got a residence. Alphonse has a residence. Petronius has a residence. He's the Halfling Druid Thief. Abdul stays with Mario at Jalarzi's Tower, right? I think that's where he is mostly. Yeah, so they have really, they're like natives of the city now, because you have to live in order to own land, you have to live in the city for like 10 years or something to officially own a residence, and it's been a long time. So that group has really entrenched themselves in the politics of the city. Now, if you go down the list on some of the other groups, the Legion's relocated to the Shield Lands, so they're just as powerful as the Iron Brigade, but they really don't do much in the city anymore. So a lot of those Legion members were on the adventure events before David Gravis' wedding. You had some people in that. You had a mix of different groups. But they have a lot of people. They started in Greyhawk, but they kind of left Greyhawk. And then the Grey Company is kind of under the shadows, being mostly a Thieves Guild adventuring group. A lot of them have domiciles. What's Galena have?
The Noble. Lives at the inn.
That's me. She has the Noble Pawn. She has the pictures are going to come up soon. There's a Perthan Estate picture. The Iron Brigade owns that. They got that in Expedition to Ruins of Greyhawk. And then there's the Eozite Safe House building picture, and Galena owns that now. And that's where the big fight took place between the Thieves Guilds of a couple streams ago on Thursday night in Deal or No Deal. So and she owns that, and she also owns the whole group. The Grey Company owns this other house on River Street. I don't think Vengeful Justice. I tried to put in my head a memorable adventure from them, but we're doing mostly one-offs with them. I couldn't think of
because actually the Legion, or at least I attempted to have the Legion a long time ago approach them about becoming a chapter living out of the Legion's manor house there, and
right.
But we never really progressed with that group. We used them, but it's all one-offs.
Didn't we just do the Cairn Hills one where the Army of Eve's part came up and they thought they were that? I think they did that. Yeah, it was Vengeful Justice. So we did use them recently, but they don't have any like earth-shattering, campaign-changing adventures that they've run. And the Gnarly Min's a kids group. Iron Fury's on its way up. And then Mark, why don't you talk about your stupendously lucky adventuring party in Greyhawk?
Yep. So basically, they're actually a younger group that had graduated from their different colleges, like College of Magic or and so forth, most of which are actual resident Greyhawkers. And then essentially what they decided to do was they ended up meeting each other. One of my favorite places in Greyhawk is a place called the Fat of the Hog. And as I was reading through, I think I want to say it's in the Folks, Feuds, and Factions.
Go ahead. You talk. I'll find it.
No, it's in the Gem of the Flayness. There's a place in there that's called the Fat of the Hog that has a character by the name of Wide Waldo, who decided to make a dish that, and for those that don't know me, I cook on the side quite an awful lot.
Very well,
it's a hobby of mine. And so I always thought it was kind of revolting and interesting at the same time, but he created something that is well known within the city, which is called lard soup. And so it always gave me a really good way of being able to connect to my players because for the same reasons, that it's like interesting and yet disgusting at the same time. And so they did their base of operations there. They don't have like residences of their own. They kind of like live with like family members and so forth within the city or in the college areas, wherever it is that they may be.
I think they're in Clarksburg.
The Fat of the Hog?
Yeah, I'm
no. Fat of the Hog is in the Artisans Quarter, A2.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's really, what I thought was a really cool place is if you think of it as kind of almost like an authentic rib house that we would have in real life.
There it is. Yeah.
I just thought that it had a lot of character to it, and it's kind of like where I started things at with a lot of my groups. So
it's and just for everyone who's on, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, roughly. It's going to just be a test, so we may not be on that long, but we're trying to link up. We're going to be doing broadcasting on our channel from Ohio, Mark's group at SLAP every other Monday. Tomorrow night's a test. 2 weeks from tomorrow night's going to be the official one. We may be on a little bit. We may be testing things. I may be on in like a Skype box in the corner, just talking a little bit, just trying to get things coordinated, but Jeff, Jacob Jansen, and Mark have done a great job. They're getting, it's all Mark's adventure, but it's at Jeff's house. He's doing a great job getting things set up. We're excited about it to add another stream. It takes a lot of pressure off me because I got a lot of work coming up, travel. So this will be good. So we'll have a second game going on, and we're going to try and do some crossovers. We're going to try to do some interlinking. He's in Greyhawk, so that's the great thing is that he's in. Well, actually, you're in the Gnarly Forest right now. What's the adventure you're running now? Name, by the way.
It's hold on. It is called Rescue at Rivenroar.
Okay.
It is a really, really great adventure that was written more for 5th edition than anything that I've tailored down for first and second. Fit in perfectly with the stuff that I was doing with Citadel by the Sea and Chapel Silence and so forth. I actually ran an adventure card which was specific to actually High Folk. It's one of the things that is in the it's called Siege of High Folk or Siege at High Folk. Yeah. It came out of the box city set, and Rescue at Rivenroar was a real great segue into it, and so I decided to adapt it into this actual group. The cool thing is that this group, they're newbies into actually playing D&D. Jacob had played a little bit when he was younger and is just getting reintroduced to it. So it's a lot of newer types of players, just trying to get the game cadence down and so forth. So their characters are right around about 3rd or 4th on average. I got a couple of first levels in there too, sprinkled in. And then once they get to about 7th or 8th level, somewhere in that vicinity, I'm going to have them roll up a new set. So that they can have the opportunity to start playing like different types of characters and classes and so forth. And then, keep that actually rolling, and then, from time to time switch back to Slap and then other groups. And I don't know where the other group is going to be stationed out of as of yet, but
cool. What's good is Mark's doing a great job with kind of linking it up so that we can do interactive stuff. He just did his last adventure two weeks ago. I came on as Bladestorm, healed up the group, and talked to them about when you're in the area, when you're ever in, you owe me now. And she said to them, you owe me now to, if you're ever in the area of Narwhal, I'm gonna utilize you for something. Or Trevin and Brolin, they're gonna utilize you for something. So it was a good tie-in. It was cool. I'm excited about it. I know everyone else is.
Yeah, I know I am, and my group is too.
Yeah, but the great thing is I'm so happy you started in Greyhawk. And Mark brings up a great point. It's not if you can get a hold of a box set, even a crappy one. Who cares if the thing's beat up a bit? Not only get these 2 books. The first box set has like 20 adventure cards in it, right? Yeah. And they're great. And they're great adventure. They're one-offers, but it's all Greyhawk-based adventure cards. And you can just put them out and some of them are high level, some of them are low level,
Yeah, and if you're ever strapped as a DM, if you ever really need just something to be able to run and you just haven't had time, those are really great. Those are great one-nighters to actually do. Sometimes I actually have run them over a couple nights just because there's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of role play that comes into them. What's kind of nice is they're not all hack and slash. Some of them are, but some of them are kind of interesting. You got to take the millennial point of view and parlay with the actual monsters to get to where they need to be.
I'll say this is that Greyhawk the city itself provides endless opportunities for role playing. And you could do it's easy to do an entire adventure without fighting once in a night in Greyhawk. You can really, there's so many directions you can go, whether it's just trying to get into, by the way, this picture up here right now is the picture of Iaz getting re-imprisoned as in the Expedition of the Ruins of Greyhawk by Igwolf, the simulacrum. That actually happens, but then, I won't ruin it for you. There's the Perthan estate up. That's the location that the Iron Brigade has purchased, and then the next one should be the Eazite Safe House that the Grey Company has, and those buildings were all out of. I thought it was up. Maybe it wasn't. I'm sorry, but Mark brings up a great point. You can do so many different interactive things. If you want to try and get in the Patricians Club, you know what I mean, or go to the Gaming House Wheel of Gold, or just go eat the large soup. Or my favorite, and all right, so in the Iron Brigade, we have 2 characters. I have an NPC, Brolin, specialty priest of Clangeddon Dwarf,
and the greatest part ever.
Yeah, and Bill has Trevin, Nim, the second highest level special priest Tricarian in the whole world, right? At 11th level or whatever he is now. And I always rub that in because Jan deserves a little higher. But their it's a player character NPC interaction, and they have their base in Norwell. They're members of the Iron Brigade, but they always go to the Gold Digger, and it's right on the main strip in the old quarter. It's a dwarven bar, and they get slosh drunk every time they go. And they just sitting there and they talk stories with all the dwarves about this limb got cut off and this shoulder got cut off. I lost 4 fingers. You know, I mean, and yeah, you can spend a whole night just role playing in Greyhawk. It's that fantastic.
Well, not even just Greyhawk, but also a lot of the surrounding area.
Yep.
There's tons of stuff in the surrounding area. So just that whole area right by Greyhawk as well. Like all the stuff that I know you've done with like Diamond Lake.
Who doesn't love the houses of ill repute in Diamond Lake?
The Tickling Feather. Well, the Silver Garter is the biggest house of ill repute right in Greyhawk City. And you used to go to Silver Garter. Salem used to go to Silver Garter first.
The Tickling Feather is the greatest because the girls will let you break their bones there.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. You get what I have to deal with sometimes here. But that's okay.
Just remember, you're not going to need to be doing that any longer.
Yeah, exactly. See? He went into Elhana mode real quick there.
Yeah, exactly.
I got Elhana, and then I got the young blonde elf. Alhana may have to kill her.
Yep, that's true. That's true. That's so Alan's playing this. I can't even remember her name in Iron Fury. She's a necromancer thief or a necromancer something. She's like a groupie of Salen's, and she took a job in the sewers cleaning the sewers just so she can be closer to Salen.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously disturbed character, but
that's not the only one either. There's another one too.
Oh, which? Let me think here. Another female for Salem?
Yeah. That is kind of along the same lines.
Okay.
Very subtle, but
you got me stumped there.
Yes, go for it. Who?
All right, Cricket.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But she's actually at a Harby, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely correct. So Salem still has followers. Salem still has groupies.
Absolutely.
They're all women. Oh, groupies. They're not followers. They're groupies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's like I've always said. If you ever want to make a whole lot of money or get laid quite an awful lot, you create your own religion or your own cult. You know, that's exactly what Salem has.
Yeah, but it doesn't help him.
He's too scared.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's see. Who did I not mention here in for the personalities?
I got a perfect one for you.
Go ahead.
Crystal Gradavis.
Yeah. Okay. So Vengeful Justice has some unique characters in it. It's kind of like a lawful neutral based adventuring group. Like I said, they haven't done anything momentous, but a lot of one-offs. So I have this character. Her name's Crystal Gradavis. She took the last name of Gradavis because she wants to be the Gradavis family is it's David and Railstone. They're Mark's characters. They're Shieldlanders. She wants to go back and she wants to do everything she can for the Shieldlands. She wants to hopefully get inbred with one of those. She's trying as much as she can. So she took their last name. She's kind of really But it's funny. She's a hardcore. You say anything bad about the Gradavis family, she will literally attack you in public. She's a lawful neutral whack job, and but she's a Knight of the Holy Shielding. She's a Knight of the Holy Shielding character. So, and that group has a lot of weird people in it. Like Dimitri's in it. There's a couple others that are a little off.
Well, but, just remember, weird is only as relevant as the person saying it.
Yeah. So we got a lot of neat personalities, and sometimes you'll see them come out and play. I'm looking forward to watching Mark's group online just to see the personalities that they develop. I know one character that was great. What happened with Bladestorm and stuff? Hey, Sean,
you're gonna really love what goes on between Neb and Ilya. It is absolutely fantastic.
Wall, I'm a little confused on that. Is Goljahan's part? Yeah. Well, we talked about that already. I think you were in between coming home from work or whatever. We were talking about Selzik and Salen and the Embalmers and Gravediggers Guild. There's a lot of guilds. There's guilds for everything in Greyhawk. And the way you can, if you're a low-level laborer, the way you can get up and get forward in Greyhawk is joining a guild. The Guild of Performing Artistes, the Guild of Laborers, There's so many. The Magic Users Guild, the Thieves Guild, the Assassins Guild, and that's where the rope making store is. You go to Rope Makers to see an assassin. We have a war. There's kind of a war going on between the Harby Assassins Guild and the Assassins Guild in Greyhawk. That's been going on for a long time. There's some Thieves Guild tensions between those two as well. Tie that in with what happened the previous adventure, where the Divers Thieves came into town and fought the Grey Company. Two of them got away. The half thing got away. Yeah, what's that?
For now.
For now, yeah, and none of you got it. None of you got the Guildmaster's name of Divers is named Jonathan E, and not a single one of you got that. So that's okay. Yeah. Walt. Walt must have had a long day at work. So.
Yeah.
Trying to think of all right. So. Tritherian is cool in Greyhawk. Here's what I'm going to bounce around real quick here, because they have an entire street. Now, Otterluke, we haven't even talked about the Circle of Eight. Oh my God. Yeah. Otterluke is destroyed, and Otterluke's house came up for sale, and there was a big auction, and Alan's character won it by 1 gold piece, right? Over Alan's oh God, my brain just shut off. His gnome. Kroger Blackrock won it, and every time he turns someone to stone with a chromatic orb, he puts them in there. He puts them out as long gnomes, basically, which is kind of funny. But that street is funny because you have the Tritherian sorority house. Walt has a character named Inga. She's a barbarian, so they all stay there. And the Tritherian has the worshiping bells and ding 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 ding, ding going on. And it's so loud, and it drives Kroger crazy how loud the street is. So there's always some little nuances going on. That's one of them. Kind of funny. I'm just looking through my notes here. The Palace of Trash, we're going to be seeing some stuff coming up with that. We're talking about the Star of Selene. The Pit. We haven't really done that much in the Pit. But the Pit's a big gladiatorial arena in Greyhawk. There's a lot of monsters they keep down there underneath it, and there's a lot of well-known pit fighters. They fought one in Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, but he murdered someone. A guy, and he was like a 12th level fighter, and he was pretty nasty. They took him out. I should have brought a picture up of him. But the Pit's kind of cool, but we really haven't touched on it as much as we could have. That's a good place to develop adventures as well.
Yep. There's actually so much that you and I could probably develop completely different areas and not even touch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Foreign Quarter is where the Vengeful Justice hangs out a lot, and that's where if you're not a resident of Greyhawk, you have to stay in that area. For the most part, there's kind of, not that everyone follows them. But we use that occasionally. I like the River Quarter a little bit better. It's a little seedier, even if it's further up. And we always do stuff in the Artisans Quarter a lot too, just because there's kind of neat stuff going on over there.
Well, you got the Low Market Bazaar that's there, and you got all the guild halls are really there.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true. That's absolutely true. And you got, I think Abel Carter Coaching Company's building's there, and Pete and John's on the other side of the street. And I believe that's near the High Market. It's either High or Low Market Bazaar. So you have a lot of things going on there. I know, Bill, you got to get going shortly. Why don't you
let's have a look at what Bill's been working on.
Yeah, show us what you got going on, man.
Oh, hold on. Let me unhook here. I got a bunch of stuff going on.
We'll show what Bill's got crafting for us. So if anyone has any questions who's watching now, please throw them out there. We'd be more than happy to answer them as Bill's going to show us what he's crafting for us. Any ideas of Greyhawk, any things you guys have done? Oh, cool, man.
This is my tree, and then this is my son's first attempt at sculpting.
Beautiful. So he's doing it.
Awesome. I made the armature for him, and he added the stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome that you're doing it jointly. That's so cool.
Over here, just got a little statue with a flame in it that I made.
Turn a little bit more. There you go, right there. That's good. Cool. Show
And
us
then,
those spikes.
behind it,
Yeah,
we
there
got
it is.
the tree.
That's on all the sites, guys. And it's getting a lot of positive reviews. How
Yeah.
awesome!
Yeah,
is
that one I
such an
just finished
awesome-
up.
That's one of the best pieces you've ever done, man. That's fantastic. I love
Some,
these too. Yeah.
You know, some skeletons that for people who didn't know how to behave.
Impaled.
And then I'm working on some columns here. You see they're
Nice.
skull heads with red, and then go around the columns will go all these skellies.
Nice. Live or
And
dead?
then just for Jay, because we always need them, we need some dead animals.
I've asked for them. Yes, we always. It's amazing. You never have enough dead carcasses of animals lying around. You need more. So, isn't
Right,
that
well,
awesome?
so you have to make sure that you make a mobile of a dead cow with flies being able to fly around it.
You got a cow with its head cut off and a spear stuck in it. So that's where a good place to start.
Yeah. Well, I'm
That's
looking forward to
fantastic.
seeing that stuff. Next time. So, that's awesome, man. So, just a real quick thing. This week, circumstances permitting, we're probably not going to have a Thursday night stream starting then. The week after, the 20th, is the big one. The 20th is our first subscriber/follower giveaway. It's on under events. It's on the panels beneath our picture here on the screen when you're watching. All right, so subscribers, we have a few are eligible, and it's a $75 gift certificate to the Miniature Building Authority. What's that?
Look at them.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, Bill, the Adventure 832 is going to be Attack of the PETA Guild.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Of the what?
The PETA Guild.
PETA, PETA. Yeah, that's funny, man. That's awesome.
There's no PETA in this area.
So you get so many points based on your level of subscribing, and So, for example, Thin Azrat has two points now, and only if you win, you lose half of them, but they accumulate for sponsors. But we're gonna do one for subscribers. We're gonna do one for followers as well. So if you're a follower and you were going to follow before that night and you're on when we do the drawing on the list, we're going to do a $25 gift certificate to Miniature Building Authority. That's our sponsor, shown below. Real quick, we'll flip back to that just 1 second here. Their Kickstarter starts on the 20th of September. We're going to be getting some of this stuff. This is really, it probably won't be available sometime in 2019, but it's awesome. If you want to Harbor Town buildings, it's fantastic looking. They do a great job with their stuff. I know the stuff you say it is pricey, but their stuff is such high quality resin. So
we've been using it how long now?
Well, since the company came in 2002. I got buildings that are as old as 2002. I try to use as many of them as I can. Bill creates a lot of buildings for us, so I go back and forth. But when I do NBA, this Castle Siege event on the 20th is going to be, and Bill's going to have a lot of the terrain effects and all the stuff, and maybe some of the stuff on the outskirts and then on the inside. But the walls, and it's I got these super high walls, and I got a siege tower and a trebuchet and all this. It's going to be fantastic. All NBA. Bill's painting up some of the arrow baskets for me for that NBA gave to us. It's we're really looking forward to this. It's going to be the 20th. I don't think we're going to finish it. It's not going to be one night. 20th and 27th, we're going to have this Castle Siege event. It's going to be the biggest thing I've ever set up on my table. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to tie that in with the giveaway. So please feel free. Like I said, any followers eligible to win something that night on the 20th. Probably do the drawing around 11 p.m. Eastern time on that. If you're a subscriber, you don't need to be on because we know who you are and you got points. So, but a follower, you have to be on to be eligible to win at that time. So, I just wanted to mention that real quick. I know.
And to be completely fair, it's going to be decided by a die roll.
Die roll. We're going to do a 30-sided die roll, whatever it is. It's going to be out there. We're going to have it. I'm going to have a listing and stuff. So, Jacobs is another big one, and Sublime BW is another big subscriber. They're all eligible. People who are in my group, close knit, if they have any subscribers, they're not eligible. It's going to be the people who are outside the circle. Just so you know, it's not rigged. So, hey, NBA gave us enough free stuff. So, but other than that, Yeah, well, the siege is going to be kind of cool. I mean, it may not be realistic, but we'll see. I'm going to do my best. This is the toughest thing. The sieges are almost impossible to run. You got multiple sides attacking. You got high level characters running around. You got big. It's a lot. So, but I like doing it, and we're going to give it a. We're going to give it a shot. So
You going to be incorporating any battle system rules into
no,
it?
no, no,
Come on, once wasn't enough.
no.
Charge
battle
the
system.
pikemen.
No battle system rules. So, Greyhawk City. I know we'll do a Greyhawk City too, and we'll delve into some things. We didn't even touch the Circle of Eight.
No.
We didn't. We didn't even touch the Fellowship of the Torch and details on them. We'll do another one down the road. We'll Free City Greyhawk 2. We'll call it. So.
Yep. We're fighters of the light. You know the.
Absolutely, yeah. We didn't talk about a lot of stuff. I know it was a time crunch. This one we started at 7:30. We're trying to push back and start at 7:30. It says 7. It's easier for everyone to get on. But so what do you got? You got some final thoughts there, Bill or Mark?
No, just I mean, if you're people that want to start a campaign, if you can get the books, it's such a well-developed area. You could spend all your time in the city exploring the underlevels and everything else, and never leave the city.
These two.
Yeah, and you can find PDF copies on the net as well. What is it called?
No,
Drive Through RPG.
Drive Through RPG. Don't say
Yeah, Drive Through RPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that's not. Yeah, you want a purchasable copy.
Yeah, no. That's what I mean. I'm not saying that you find it for free. I'm saying that if you can't find the original copies, because look, we all strive to find those as much as we can, but sometimes you just can't.
So I got a new box set on my shelf. It's an old box set, new box set, but Tiki board games. Oh, here's some other things, some other announcements. Tiki board games. Ryan, the main owner there, has offered us for anything we want to do, a board game, a D&D game, a talk show, to come in at any time and stream from Tiki. So, and he said, I'd like you guys, even if it's something an off night, so I may do that, but he's offered. So I'm trying to work out. They're doing PAX Unplugged as well. I showed everyone on I got my PAX Unplugged stuff. So we're going to be good to go for that. I'm trying to host something there. I'm working that out, and we'll see what happens. And D&D Beyond. Isn't D&D Beyond 4th edition?
I think so.
I think, yeah. So, but we're trying to, I'm trying to get some other things working here. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, Slap is going to come on just for a little bit. And there's going to be kinks in this, I guarantee it. So it's not going to be any, don't expect any smooth thing. And Mark's going to be doing his game anyway. We're trying to get everything all set up for 2 weeks from now.
Yep. But
we got to broadcast it because I got to make sure that an off-party site is broadcasting with the keys and all that stuff. So it's going to be fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. Unfortunately, this week looks like we won't have a stream on Thursday. Next Sunday, we're going to talk about Generations. Finally, I think we're going to get into that, the family trees. It's a lot of preparation on my part, so that's why I pushed it back a week. But I think we're going to finally get to that next Sunday night.
Well, make sure you got to put a picture up of the Winchester family tree that we have.
I will. But it's on a piece of paper, handwritten. It's 30 years old. It's about to fall apart.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the actual.
Oh,
the actual
joke tree. Okay. What was? Oh, D&D Next was like in between 4th and 5th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like that.
So last call. Anyone online have any other questions for us about Greyhawk? Any suggestions? Anything that you want to know about the city? I mean, I just don't know if the detail. One thing that happened in 5th, I just think the detail got lost after 1st and 2nd of the wonderful richness of everything that's going on. And if you're playing 5th, I don't think it's that hard to convert this stuff to 5th. You know? I mean, seriously, it's just, but the detail is unbelievable in these books. And like I said, the From the Ashes is still good. There's a lot of stuff we didn't use, but there's some really good stuff in From the Ashes as well. So,
well, I've been seeing a lot more comparisons between 5th and 1st, honestly. That there's been people, especially online, that have been resurrecting like their first edition books and so forth, and going through them and actually trying it out and finding how much fun it actually is.
Well, and you played in DM Shane's game at Gen Con, so you saw a DM actually running fifth. You know, fifth is great for a lot of what goes on in streams. A lot of
Yep.
RP theater to mind stuff. It's great for it. And Fantasy Grounds is in fifth, and I don't know if D20's in fifth. I'm assuming D20's in fifth too, but we're tabletoppers, so I'm first, second, man. And you know we're never going to change. So
No,
we're so old school. It's not worth changing at this point. And we just the development of all the classes and everything we've done. One last.
Keith, I'm not going to buy new books.
Yeah, we don't need to. We got enough books. If you weren't on earlier, one more time, Josh from Winged Horizon. I just recently followed them, and he followed us back. But one of the 7 I have followed, just go over and just throw a follow to him. You know, he's up and coming. He's an affiliate as well. Just do that for me, please. We're all trying here to, enhance each other's, followers and standing in it. So when you get a chance, please do that. Starters. I just I just don't understand it. I know it's a money based thing. But their thing now on Wizards is the Wizards card, the Magic card game has not been developed into an RPG world. And I think I don't blame them because they do all this rich history with the cards and all the sets and stuff and their stories behind them. I don't blame them for going to do that now. I don't. But open up the Greyhawk content so that I can, or Shane or myself or Will or Mark can write something legally for Greyhawk and put it in to the DM's Guild thing on Drive Through RPG. You know what I mean? Yep. I mean, you know how many? I don't care about making money. I've done freaking 831 adventures, man. You know what I'm saying? And some of them, I got notebooks like, 50 notebooks of stuff. I always go back and put out some of them. The Lord's Tomb, I published that. I put it in there when I got the time.
Ways to Die. You probably publish that one.
Absolutely. There's so much content out there that I really think, and this is another one of the reasons why I'm doing the conventions now. I'm going to start going to stuff. I want to talk to someone there. I really do. And I got contacts now. There's certain people who've told me who to talk to. These people from Wizards are kind of cool. You can talk to them. And that's one of the reasons why, I really am, Greyhawk's the only thing we're ever going to do. So there it is then. I got a Dark Sun box set at Tiki Tiki real cheap, and I didn't have one on my shelf, so I bought it. I'm never going to play it. But
that's it. I'm changing my first. I'm being a cannibal halfling. Or I'm going to be a mole.
Yeah, Altair, absolutely. That is what we need to do. We need to have Greyhawk opened up by Wizards, and I guarantee you, Shane and I know Josh runs Greyhawk, and Will runs it, and I run it. We're all together on this, and maybe we're a cabal. Mark's we're gonna be a cabal down the road on streaming. It's another reason why I'm doing the streaming. It's another reason why we're all doing this. We really want this thing to grow. So,
Yep.
Did you play?
And there's so much new content that's done. Like just look at the Facebook.
Did you play with Mark Altair Wolf? What's your name? Did you? Marco played in a game with Shane. You may have played with him.
Yeah,
that's
possible.
In that group, tell him the adventure you did.
It was just a spin-off one that he actually did, where his main character, a dwarf, ended up becoming.
He said Keith and his wife. His name's Keith and his wife? No?
Maybe.
Okay. What day was it?
I don't remember everybody's name, unfortunately. But
what day did you do it? Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, it was Sunday. It was the last day of the actual event.
Yeah, so Mark did one on Sunday, but hey, you both played with him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So look at that. Time almost dead on to 9 p.m. So hey, guys, everyone, thanks a lot for watching again. Got something going on tomorrow. If you're interested, just hop on. and we'll see how this thing goes. I'm hoping that we broadcast at 6 p.m. or 6:15, and I'm hoping that this. I don't want to have to mess around with this broadcaster thing and keys and stuff all night. We don't want to do that to Mark's group.
We're not gonna be doing that really anyway. So
yeah, okay, cool. So let's just hope it gets all set up and we're on. If you see us on, great. If not, we'll catch up with you later in the week. All right. Well, I'm gonna call it an evening. Thank you. I'll see you all upcoming. No prelude this week. And definitely a Gabbin on Sunday night. And there's a lot of content coming up. So just sit tight, guys. He said that giveaway's coming. We're all excited. Thank you, Altair. We're all, like I said, any of my guys here are gonna pop over to Winged, to Josh's site and just do a quick follow for him. Hope you all have a good night, and I'll see everyone very shortly. And keep it going, Greyhawk. See you all guys soon.